Most people carry a quiet belief. They believe they grew without pressure. They tell themselves, I just did what I loved. It felt easy. It came naturally. And because of that, they separate growth from pressure. Pressure becomes the enemy, something to avoid, something that means I'm not ready. But that's not how growth actually works. Growth always involves activation. Not always stress, not always struggle, activation. Pressure isn't pain. Pressure is being asked to show up. Let me give you an example. Someone once said to me, I never trained under pressure. I just did what I loved. But as they talked, something became clear. They practiced where people could hear them. They expressed themselves in real time. They didn't know what would happen next. They stayed present in moments that mattered. That's not neutral. When something matters, your system is activated. That's pressure, quiet pressure, meaningful pressure. And the nervous system adapts inside of that. They didn't grow because there was no pressure. They grew because they stayed in it, even when they didn't recognize it. Think about something you became good at. Music, movement, talking with people, creating something meaningful. At the time, you probably didn't call it training, but your system was adapting every single time you stayed with it. Here's the key. Pressure isn't defined by difficulty. Pressure is defined by activation. You feel something, you stay with it, the system adapts. Someone who's comfortable speaking in front of others might say it never felt like pressure. But comfort doesn't mean nothing was happening. Comfort often means you trained there long enough that activation became familiar. Ease usually means exposure has already done its work. Someone once said to me, it felt natural, but it mattered too much for me to walk away. Exactly. Meaning activates the system. And if you stay there long enough, you're training, whether you call it that or not. Here's why this is important. If you believe you grew without pressure, then pressure today can feel like a problem. You might think, if this were right for me, it wouldn't feel like this. But your past growth didn't come from the absence of intensity. It came from intensity you didn't label. I've seen this pattern many times. Someone feels confident and steady in one area of life, but in another area, they tighten. They assume something is wrong. But when they look back, the truth shows up. Their ease wasn't talent. It was exposure. They stayed in moments that mattered over and over again. What feels effortless now was earned. Once that clicks, the tension they feel today stops being a red flag. It becomes familiar, part of the process. If this is landing for you, go ahead and subscribe. I share conversations like this every week, focused on training a steady inner state. Let's keep going. This is usually where people get confused. You're doing something that matters. Activation rises, and a thought shows up. It never used to feel like this. But here's the truth. Every skill you've ever developed required you to stay inside activation. You just didn't call it pressure. Someone once said to me, I thought it was easy because I loved it. People were watching. I didn't know what would happen. And I stayed anyway. That's exposure. Pressure isn't discomfort. Pressure is being in it. And that's how the system adapts. Nothing about you has changed, only your awareness has. When you look back, honestly, something settles. You stop calling your past growth effortless. You start seeing all the moments you stayed engaged. Someone laughed when this landed for them and said, oh, I didn't grow because it was natural. I grew because I kept showing up. Exactly. Pressure isn't strain. It's caring, being seen, not knowing what comes next, letting it matter. These are the conditions growth happens in. So when those conditions show up now, they're not a problem. They're familiar territory. If you see yourself here, nothing is wrong. This is just a pattern you've practiced, and patterns can change. The difference now is awareness. Before, you stayed in activation without naming it. Now you can stay on purpose. I've seen people realize this and everything shifts. They weren't broken, they just hadn't trained in that arena yet. So they stayed, they slowed down, they practiced a different internal state. And over time, what once felt overwhelming became steady. Not because life changed, but because they did. When you understand the pressure you grew inside of, you remember your capacity to grow again. And so take a moment with this. No analyzing, just noticing. What emotional state are you practicing most often without realizing it? And if you want support training a steady inner state in moments that matter, you'll find the Inner Foundation method below. You can also sign up for the newsletter or connect with me on Instagram at Mike Wang Coaching. Glad you stayed with this. I'll see you in the next one.